Hey, this is Ready Dude, and at the end of the video where I beat New Super Mario Bros. Without running, I said, if this video gets 2 likes, I'll beat New Super Mario Bros. 2 without pressing any buttons. Well, that video did get at least 2 likes, so I quickly got to work. Yeah, this wasn't gonna happen. It turns out that most video games require you to actually do stuff in order to beat them. So, let's say we still wanted to limit our controls here. What can we do? Well, we definitely can't beat the game without pressing right. Don't worry, I've tried. We'll have to press down in order to enter a pipe in 1-2, and we'll have to press up to enter the final boss door. So, what about left? I mean, it's not like pressing left was ever that important. Why else would the original Super Mario Bros. Not even let the screen scroll that way? So, with that in mind, let's see if it's possible to beat New Super Mario Bros. 2 without pressing left. Okay, so while Peach is getting kidnapped for the 1000th time in the intro, let's go over the rules. It's gonna be a bit complex, so listen closely. Don't press left ever! Not in levels, not on the world map, and not even in the menus. Besides that, don't use multiplayer nor the invincibility leaf. There's also 2 bonus rules. First, we'll try to find the shortest route through the game as possible, just as we have with all the other New Soup challenges I've done. And second, we'll try to ignore the really low video quality. That's just a consequence of streaming 3DS footage from real hardware rather than using an emulator or a capture card. Got all that? Then let's begin. 1-1, just like in most of these challenges, is pretty easy. Ignore the fact that I died. Here, we'll learn about the importance of ground pounds for halting momentum, and wall jumps, which will pretty much be our only way to turn around in most levels. There's also slopes, but they'll rarely be of use. Wall jumps are the main deal here, as well as what I call inertia hops, or eye-hopping, which is repeatedly jumping the moment we hit the ground to conserve leftward momentum. 1-2 puts these moves to the test, with wall jumps off of very short pipes in order to get ourselves a Mega Mushroom and destroy everything. There's also the exit pipe, which requires us to do a very low wall jump to reach if we go a bit too far to the right. 1-3 introduces us to the Super Leaf, which will be our main power-up throughout this challenge. Not only can we fall slowly, getting more leftward distance out of a wall jump, but we can also fly if we gain enough speed. Make sure to grab multiple leaves right now, both for Mario and for the reserve slot, because you may have noticed that we can't turn around on the world map right now. So, while you don't need a Super Leaf for 1-Tower, having one makes things a lot easier, and they're in limited supply here. This is our first vertical level, which means there'll be a whole lot of wall jumps off the right wall, including this chain of wall jumps right here. We'll be aiming for the secret exit, which is actually really simple to reach. Enter this door right after the checkpoint, then just enter this opening to the right, and bam, secret exit. By beating the tower, we've unlocked the ability to save, which we'll pretty much be using after like every future level. This secret exit leads to a 1-up house, where we can get a good few lives while wondering why the toads don't just give us all of the 1-ups if they're our allies. And 1-cannon, which is a level where you are constantly running to the right, which means nothing changes for our challenge. We've made it to the secret world mushroom, and are now able to fast travel between worlds, which means we can now return to the start of any world whenever we want. So we can now return to 1-3, easily get super leaves whenever we want, and then save at the tower immediately after that. So we'll be able to start every level with a super leaf, both equipped and in reserve, which is very powerful. And if we ever die, we can just reload our save instead of having to replay 1-3 for more leaves. And we'll be needing this, because World Mushroom contains the hardest level in this entire challenge. Mushroom Dash 1 is a pretty standard level, the one with very few solid walls. Most levels that scroll horizontally and don't require entering doors or pipes or anything like that tend to be pretty simple. Just be careful about the difficulty in slowing down. Ground pounds are your friend here. Mushroom Dash 2 is an auto-scrolling water level, which means it's basically free. The urchins can be a bit dangerous, but as long as you're patient, you can get past them pretty easily. Try to stay in the middle of the screen throughout the level, since the enemies are timed to be easiest to dodge that way. Mushroom Dash Ghost House has a lot of split paths, with multiple ways to make it through the level. With that being said, some rooms are easier than others, so I'll specifically discuss the path I took. Juke out the boost to enter the left door. You'll need to hit the left switch and then quickly time wall jumps and eye hops to reach the door before it disappears. Then enter the right door in the set of 3. This room has a lot of invisible blocks that bounce you upward. You'll need to wall jump off the right wall to reach the door, but if you overshoot it, you'll be sent back up, so time a ground pound to land a very short wall jump right on top of the door. Enter the door on the top, and now to reach the secret exit, which you'll need a super leaf for. Hit the middle and right switches, then take the top path. There'll be this little opening in the ceiling, and you can use the leaf to slowly scale the right wall, timing your last wall jump to send you left towards the switch, spawning a door on the right that leads to the goal. Now is when we reach a roadblock. To get to the cannon, we must go through Mushroom Dash B. This level is a vertical auto-scroller with no walls on the sides and mushroom platforms that can't be wall jumped off of. We're basically trapped from the very beginning. If we are able to complete this level, we'd be able to skip all the way to World Flower, but this stage already seems impossible from the get-go. I died so many times trying to figure this out that the invincibility leaf started popping up. It seems like we finally reached the point where we have to turn around and take a longer path like we did when beating New Super Mario Bros. Without running. We finally come across a level that we can't beat. Anyways, here's how to beat it. The stage begins with a horizontal section to a pipe. Don't bother with the mushroom platforms and jump between vines to halt your momentum. Now for the actual level. Wait for this chain chomp to hop to the right, then wall jump off the very tip of the pole and eye hop to the left end of the screen. Get on top of this set of blocks and then ground pound the POW blocks to release the vines and climb up. Jump off onto the left edge of this yellow mushroom, then wall jump off the question blocks and eye hop to the left edge again. Hop onto the left edge of this red mushroom, then onto this row of blocks. Ground pound the POW again to release more vines. Climb up until reaching this red mushroom. Now there's multiple ways to do this part, but they both involve wall jumping off of these bricks and grabbing one of these vines. Our goal will be to grab the left edge of the vine here. We can either try grabbing the left edge off of this wall jump, which is hard to time, or we can grab the left vine, which gives us way more leeway. If we do though, we'll likely take damage from this chain chomp. Either way, make sure to grab the very left edge of this vine. The vine ends in a brick, but notice, because we are so far left on the vine, jumping into this brick from below actually pushes us left just a tiny bit, while keeping our upwards momentum. Use this to jump right next to the brick and wall jump off of it, then ground pound this POW and climb the left vine of the right pair specifically. We've made it to the checkpoint. The level is beatable if you respawn here, as long as you have a super leaf in reserve. In fact, it's actually easier to complete from a respawn because you start a bit further left. Anyway, start by wall jumping off this question block to reach the left edge of the screen. Hit this POW to release a vine and a power up, and then wall jump off the same question block to grab the vine you just released. It's important to make sure to grab the mushroom if you're starting from the checkpoint because you need to be big for this next part. Climb the vine until you reach its top. Here we need to grab the vine that comes out of this leftmost brick, but our only place to wall jump is off of this block here. The problem is that it's placed right on top of a mushroom platform, and if you're small or your feet pass the platform when trying to reach the block, you'll stand on top of it and can't wall jump off the block anymore. So when jumping for the block, make sure that only your upper body is above the mushroom. If you make the wall jump, ground pound this block to release the vine and climb to the top. This is where we'll take out our second super leaf that we've kept in reserve this whole time. You did make sure to keep the super leaf in reserve, right? And tail swipe the left side of this block to release our final vine and climb to freedom. Completing a level that took me over 20 minutes to figure out and bringing us to World Flower. Flower Dash 1 is comparatively a cakewalk, though it does have a couple parts that can be a bit scary. We're taking the secret exit here, which can be accessed right after this section where you climb up multiple snake block trails. There are two question blocks here which start flying once hit, so ground pound one of them and just stay on as it flies to a secret area with the goal. Flower Dash A finally brings us back to a standard side scroller where we aim for a normal goal, which we haven't seen since Mushroom Dash 1. This glacier even does most of the work for us, though it is slippery. After the checkpoint, we'll encounter the only part of this entire challenge in which we slide down a slope to go left. Congratulations, slopes! You were useful! The second glacier has a hole in the middle, but you can wall jump out of it pretty easily. Try to stay on the lower step of the left side of the glacier and then crouch, as most enemies either land on the right side and fall into the hole or are too high up to reach you. Before you know it, you've made it to World 6. 6-1 is kinda tough. The meteors that fall from the sky can destroy the brick blocks and hard blocks that make up the floor and cover. While you can get to P speed, flying is pretty much a death sentence, so you'll have to take it slow. The most difficult part is the ending, composed of solely hard blocks that appear in chunks. We need to keep moving right to dodge the meteors, but we can't move too fast because the chunks need time to appear. You'll need to kind of tiptoe through this ending section. 6-Ghost House contains our last secret exit. It's kind of confusing to reach since this level focuses on two versions of the same room with slight differences from each other. First of all, don't fall for the one-way gates because those lead to a soft lock. Enter the right door and keep running right until you reach this other door. Next, wall jump off of these bricks and I hop over to this switch to lower the wall. Repeat this process to go past the lowered wall and back to this door up here. Run further right until you reach this big boo. He's hiding a switch, but it's going to be difficult to lure him out, so you'll need to damage boost through him, at least once to reach the switch, likely twice while waiting for the wall to lower. Once through the door, take out the extra super leaf that you've definitely kept in reserve this whole time. Get ready for this next part, because you'll be on a time limit. Hit the switch, then use the leaf to slowly chain wall jumps up the right wall before you get crushed. After that, you'll need to... Okay, this might take a while. So... have you been enjoying the video so far? Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know if you have any challenge ideas like this one. Oh, thank God it's over. 6-A is an underground level that is really easy. I didn't even notice the rising lava until writing this script. Just be careful not to get trapped by going too far right, both when entering the underground and leaving it. 6-Tower has burners that can be temporarily turned off and provides a pretty decent challenge. I hope you've gotten good at IHOPs by this point. There are some moving platforms too, but if you stick to the center of them and turn off burners when necessary, you should be fine. For our first boss of the challenge, we encounter... oh hey, it's Reznor! I forgot you were in this game. Alright, this was fun. I'll just kill all of you before the ground finishes disappearing. And any stragglers can be taken out quickly as well. 6-4 is platforms carried and tilted by Peepas. But the real threat here is the invisible blocks eating my jumps and sending me into pits. Besides that, the crows can be kind of a nuisance, but this stage really isn't bad at all. 6-5 can cause trouble with all the fireballs, but can similarly be run through pretty quickly. After replaying 1-Tower for the 100th time to save our game, we take on the final castle. Most problems in the first room can be solved either by booking it or by halting your momentum and staying low to the ground. In this short vertical section, you can ride on top of this first burner and wall jump off of this brick block, making sure to not jump on top of the block instead, because that's a soft lock. In the second room, you'll have to tiptoe along this fast moving snake block. Take your time, ignore the rising lava, and use the ability to flow with the super leaf to your advantage, which also requires not losing said super leaf. Room 3 has the couplings in the background, periodically flashing the screen. If you're not behind a wall when the screen flashes, you turn to stone for a moment. The problem is that this section features a lot of conveyor belts, some of which will slowly take you away from cover without being able to turn around. Your timing will have to be a bit wonky, intentionally hesitating before heading to the next bit of cover so that the flashes are timed for when you get there. In the lead up to the final boss, you want to make sure that you have a super leaf on you, both equipped and in reserve. The rightmost block contains a leaf, but make sure you're already big when you hit it. Carefully navigate the hallway of fireballs and make it to Bowser. During this fight, every movement to the right is a permanent commitment, so try to find a distance from Bowser that dodges most of his attacks while also accounting for whether he chooses to step forward. Once he jumps, book it to the switch. Of course though, things aren't over just yet, so we go to the real final— wait, did Mario just go left? So, for this final boss, we're basically going to be repeating a certain cycle around the room. We want to slowly make our way up into the right, then wall jump to land at the far left, then slowly make our way back to the right, and then repeat that process. Again, it's important to move slowly, waiting to jump to the next platform until just before Bowser swipes at you. Don't get too close to the right wall until it's time to wall jump, so that you'll have time to react to the fireballs shooting from the Bowser heads, especially the purple homing ones near the end. Depending on how things turn out, you might find yourself heading towards the left end of the screen with no platform in sight. If this happens, look for any bubbling in the lava. This means a platform is about to appear there. If you're about to hit the lava and the platform still hasn't popped out yet, you can, as a last resort, ground pound just before you burn, which keeps you in the air just a bit longer, which might be just long enough to let the platform pop out and save you. Phases 1 and 3 take about 1 loop around the room each, but phase 2 takes about 2 loops. With this in mind, if you know that the end of a phase is coming up, you can try getting as high above the screen as possible to end it early. One last wall jump to the final switch, and we have beaten New Super Mario Bros. 2 without ever pressing left. Not in levels, nor on the world map, nor in any menus. This was probably the hardest challenge I've done for a new soup. The competition wasn't necessarily all that steep. There just happened to be specific levels that really put me to the test with this one. I'm honestly surprised this challenge was even possible at all. You'd think removing an entire direction from play would make things a bit too limited, but not only were we able to beat the game, we were able to do it while only playing through 17 levels, the minimum amount needed to complete the game at all. As usual, I'd recommend trying this challenge for yourself, especially since it got me to care about New Super Mario Bros. 2 for the first time in years. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, yada yada yada. If this video gets half a like, I'll beat Mario Wonder with the console turned off. Goodbye, peoples!